Big implications from the big beautiful bill. The Freedom Caucus's surprising turnaround. When hardline House Republicans of the Freedom Caucus decided to support President Donald Trump's renowned One Big Beautiful Bill, it looked like they were more about loyalty than rebelling. This unforeseen turn of events left the impression that the previously defiant members had somewhat surrendered their stance on budgetary issues as the House passed the legislation. But here's where it gets intriguing. Despite what might appear as a victory for Trump, the Freedom Caucus and various GOP factions each face different challenges and setbacks throughout the process. The Freedom Caucus found itself the last to give in. A strongly worded memo distributed on Wednesday denounced the Senate's version of the bill as an abandonment of the original agreement endorsed by Speaker Mike Johnson. When Representative Ralph Norman left the White House this week, he expected certain changes in the bill to gain his approval. However, no such adjustments were made, and the House ultimately passed it as it was. Changing the text would have meant sending it back to the Senate, risking missing the July 4th deadline, but many found unnecessary. And this is the part most people miss. Representative Chip Roy's stance became a focal point this week. While he expressed doubts about simply voting yes because of the deadline, he later disclosed via Twitter that the White House had promised to tackle Medicaid abuse, reassuring him to support the bill. Meanwhile, Representative Derek Van Orden reacted strongly when pressed about whether the caucus was merely following the president's directives. He defiantly told a reporter they weren't acting submissively and criticized questions about Trump's influence on their decisions. Controversy alert. The perplexing part is how even Senate Lisa Murkowski, who was initially against some aspects of the bill, ultimately supported it. She worried about the negative impact of new work requirements on programs like SNAP and Medicaid. However, she didn't push for changes, which led to the final version being accepted with specific provisions for rural hospitals and Alaska-centric benefits. Ultimately, the Republicans found themselves acknowledging the fact that they had yielded. Representative Roy's social media activity showed he wasn't fully conceding, though, pointing out how the Freedom Caucus's tactics had nudged the bill rightward. The bigger picture is that despite some internal resistance, the push from the White House and the concessions made to secure support marked a significant shift in strategy. What's your take on the Freedom Caucus's transformation? Necessary compromise or a reluctant surrender to presidential pressure? Share your thoughts in the comments.